Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Living from Love online retreat. I'm Grace Bubeck, and the first session is with Nirmala. I won't say very much, except to say that I'm a bit frazzled right now because I've had a lot of technical problems. I hope they're done, and we're just able to be on retreat and not have to deal with more technical problems. So I'd like to welcome all of you who are watching, and I'd also like to welcome Nirmala, who is going to start us off in the with a guided exploration into this moment. So you go right ahead, Nirmala.
All right, thank you, Grace. It's nice to be here. So I want to start today just by the exploration I'm going to do is exploring the essence of love, and also exploring how love is always here, always present. And so the purpose of, I'm going to talk a little bit first about the essence of love, because I think if we get focused on the essence of love, then it becomes easy to recognize, to notice how it's always here. And so
Nirmala,
yes.
Nirmala, before you start, you know, your volume is still a bit loud.
My voice is still loud. Okay.
Yes. Could you
give me a second? I'll
turn that down.
Lower my microphone some more. Oh yeah, look at that, it turned itself up. Is that better now?
Still a bit lower, I'd say.
How about there?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to leave this little microphone thing up because for some reason it, like I said, it turned itself up.
Yes.
All right. Oh, there it's doing it again. It goes up. Maybe it's got an auto level thing on it.
Yes.
Well, I'll try and keep an eye on it.
Yeah, and maybe what you could do is just sit back a bit so your voice isn't so loud in the mic.
I'll try not to shout too much. For laugh too So, as I was saying, by bringing it down to the essence of love, it becomes really obvious and really easy to see how it's always here. And so if you strip away kind of the cultural and the personal, like conditioning, the layers of stuff that are, in a sense, part of love, but not the essence of it. So if you take off those kind of extra associations, the romantic and you know, either painful or pleasurable experiences that have accumulated in our life in relation to love, what you come down to, what is the essence of love, is very simple. It's awareness and acceptance. And so awareness is simply attention, giving your attention, giving this kind of brightness, this awakeness that you are to experiences within your field of awareness. And so that flow of awareness is love. And inherent in that flow of awareness is this quality of acceptance. The awareness itself is very empty, very open, very spacious. And there's nothing more accepting or allowing than space. And so inherent in our love, inherent in this flow of awareness, is an acceptance of things just the way they are. And again, if you strip away all those extra layers, that's what love is really about. The best, even romantically, the best lover is someone who just gives you lots of space, lets you be the way you are, lets you, if you're crabby, they let you be crabby. If you're feeling playful, they let you be playful. They allow that, they give space to that. And at the same time, there's a willingness to be present to that, to be aware of it. It's not really love if somebody says, yeah, you can be just the way you are, but I'm going to go in the other room and shut the door. You know, I'm going to move to another state because I don't want to be in the same state as you when you're being who you are. So when it's love, there's also this contact, this attention, this paying attention to the person or the thing that you love. And so when you bring it down to that essence, then it's easy now to kind of do an exploration around it. And so actually the first thing I would invite people to do is to pick up a nearby object. Anything that's kind of neutral but handy, a pillow, a piece of clothing that's laying around, I have a pen in my hand, so a pen or a pencil, piece of paper, blank piece of paper ideally, because again it needs to be neutral, so hopefully it's not like an overdue bill or something like that.
Can it be beautiful?
It can be.
Or is that not neutral enough?
If it's your most favorite possession, maybe not. But if it's just something, and then just like I could right now, I could invite you to breathe more deeply, or to breathe more fully. What I invite you to do is to give attention to this object that's in your hand or hands, and then just let that attention flow more fully. In a sense, pay attention more deeply to the object in your hand. And so take a moment to really, in a sense, really, maybe first of all, really see it. The color, the shape, and also even the subtleties of the color. Like how the light in the room is striking that object. Is it are there shadows? Are there areas where the color varies, either because it's different colors or just because the light is striking it differently? And anything maybe that you hadn't noticed yet about its shape. Some little indentation or corner of it or something sticking out that you hadn't really noticed until now, until you start giving it this fuller attention. And then simply also notice the feel of that object in your hand. Is it rough? Is it smooth? Is it heavy? Is it light? Anything you can, in a sense, notice about the physical object. And even if there, possibly there are even sounds associated with it, especially if you move it around in your hand. So just for a moment, really hear the sounds coming from this object. And if there are no sounds, then just really notice that it's a very, very quiet object, maybe even silent. And just give it that, for no particular reason except for the purpose of this exercise, just give it that fullness, that flow of awareness. And then also notice that, again, inherent in that awareness is acceptance of it just the way it is. That to be fully aware of the object, you need to just let it be the way it is. And a simple way of doing that is to notice the space around it. To notice that there's room here for that object. That you could say space itself is making room for that object. That there's no question that it's allowed to be here. And then just again, for the sake of the exercise, pick another object in the room, maybe a piece of furniture or something. You don't have to pick this one up. But again, just give that other object that same fullness of attention. Really, really notice it. Something about it that you've never noticed before. Anything about the texture, the color, the way the light is on that object right now. And then I invite you to direct that same, like more complete flow of attention and acceptance to some sensation in your own body. Whatever your first sensation that your attention kind of lands on.
Would it help to close the eyes to do that?
Yeah, for the sensations in the body, it can.
Okay.
Whatever allows you to be more fully in the paying attention mode. And just notice everything you can about that sensation in your own body. And for a moment, just allow it. Just give it that same kind of acceptance. In a sense, it's like pay attention to that sensation the way you would pay attention to a new lover. Just like, oh yeah, you want to know, you want to feel, you want to experience everything about that sensation, just as you would with a new lover. And now allow that, well, you can still continue to feel the sensation, and in fact, let it spread out to all of the sensations in your body. Just be fully as aware, as fully as possible of your body. You can't do this wrong, there's no competition, but just give it as much awareness as you can, and as much acceptance as you can in this moment. And then whatever thoughts are present, whatever is happening in the realm of thought, whether there's a lot of thoughts, a few thoughts, no thought, just for a moment give attention to your thoughts. Possibly even, like I said, experience your own thoughts the way you would a new lover. What is the quality of your thoughts? Is there a voice? Are there pictures? Do they trigger emotions? Or is it relatively quiet and still? It doesn't really matter which or what you discover in your thoughts. In this moment, you can pay a lot of attention to them, to the whole experience of your thoughts. And now you may want to gently allow your eyes to open if they're closed. And just allow that same flow of attention to take in just about everything. Whatever your attention naturally lands on, or just the whole room and your body, any thoughts that appear in that same space. Just allow this very full flow of attention to this moment. And as you're doing that, as you're just letting attention flow, letting acceptance flow, notice the flow itself. Notice this mysterious, spacious awakeness. This attention, it's nothing, turns out it's nothing special in the sense that it's always present, it's always happening. And in fact, let go of any attempt to make it more or less or full or deep, and just allow your attention to kind of return to its normal normal way of, just like if you, for a moment, let go of any effort to breathe more deeply. Let go of any effort in this moment to pay attention in any particular way or to anything in particular. And just wherever your attention goes, whatever thoughts or experiences arise that you notice, notice for a moment that you're noticing. Notice that you're noticing one thing after another. Notice how naturally your attention is always flowing somewhere. And then I'll ask you a simple question. Is this flow of attention ever not present? Is it ever not happening? It's kind of fun even to see if, like right now, can you turn it off? Can you stop paying attention to anything? Can you be unaware in this moment? Completely, totally blank. Not even hear my voice. How do you do that? You can't stop the flow of attention. You can't stop the flow of love. It's always present. It's the one thing that doesn't come and go. What you pay attention to, what you love, what you experience, that is always changing. The objects themselves, the sensations, the thoughts come and go, or your attention itself gets directed somewhere else. If you turn your head in the other direction, then you're going to have a lot less attention on the things that are behind you. So the particular direction or object of awareness is always something that comes and goes. But the flow of the love itself, the flow of this simple essence of love, paying attention, accepting, that's always, always present. And even when, now this is a subtle part of it, even when there's a part of you that is not accepting, right? When your attention flows to something and a thought or a feeling arises that's basically saying, no, not that. I don't want to pay attention to that. That is itself a flow of this awareness, only in that case, the attention, the flow, is to the no. What your attention then has been, in a sense, hijacked by is the thought, I don't like that. I wish that would go away. I wish you would stop doing that. I wish that wouldn't happen. Why does this always happen to me? What's the matter? And so anytime your attention flows to a thought, something you don't like, the not liking is what you're loving. We love our judgments. We just love our judgments. They are so entertaining. I mean, that's what I think, so it must be, worth paying attention to because that's my opinion. And so we love it. We love to have an opinion. We love to complain. We love to resist. So what happens when we reject our experience is not that love itself stops flowing, but that it flows to our resistance. Again, I challenge you to not be aware of anything, even your own judgments. No, if a judgment arises, most of the time our attention goes rushing to it. Our love goes rushing to it. The love itself is still present. The love itself is still flowing. It may be, when there's a judgment, the flow of love becomes very narrow. The flow of attention, the amount that we're accepting becomes very limited, very narrow. like looking in a microscope.
Yeah.
And so that's what changes, not the love itself, not this mysterious attention, spacious awareness itself. That doesn't change.
So what you're saying is the form that it takes changes?
Not the object of it changes, but the love itself doesn't really change its nature. The love itself is still awake. The love itself is still noticing whatever it's noticing, even if it is a judgment, a fear, a doubt.
Now you turned your mic off, Nirmala.
Well, my volume went way down there. It's a funny thing. I've got this little thing where I can set my volume, and then as I talk, it goes up. Gradually, it starts just raising the volume. So
yes. So maybe we'll just leave it as it.
Okay. I'll try and speak softly.
Yes, aren't you just loving those Mercury retrograde periods when things just don't quite kind of, work the way they usually do?
Yeah. And yet, like I said, even when it's upsetting us, even when it is, contracting our awareness, there still is awareness.
Yes.
It doesn't change this. It doesn't, and see, ultimately, again, awareness is always here. And then an even deeper recognition is that awareness is what you are. Awareness, the reason it's always here is because that is what you are. Even when your body goes away, your awareness stays where it was, here.
Yeah, so it's interesting that there are these different levels. I mean, there's a level of everyday awareness, everyday love, and the various forms it takes. Relationships, friendships, contacts with people, pets, nature, objects, clothes, places. Love can kind of focus on so many things. I mean, there's nothing really that's excluded. Sensations, emotions,
Yeah, even fears and doubts and worries and desires and hopes and dreams and wishes, all that.
Yeah. So there's a level of, dual reality, reality that happens in terms of categories of good and bad. And so we love some things and we hate other things, And then there is a sense in which the love is the space and the, just the beingness of what is. And everything is in that space. Everything happens in that space.
Yeah. And I don't know if you sense this when I was doing the exploration, and when I invited you to love things the way you would love a new lover, or anything that I said, anytime when I said something that allowed this kind of this really exquisite kind of strong flow of attention, even if it was just to the object or to a feeling or a thought. Anytime there was this more intense flow happening, then I don't know if you could sense that then a lot of the other qualities that we associate with love, that I remember I said before I was stripping away all the associations. But when there's a fullness of that flow, then we feel very alive.
Mm-hmm.
We feel very present. We feel life becomes very rich and intense and sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of that is inherent in the love itself. And it just becomes more obvious when we let it rip, when we let it flow freely. And that's, and yet we sometimes mistake those kind of side effects, you could say, of love, all the extra sweetness and aliveness and so forth that we feel whenever life, in a sense, gives us permission to really pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're falling in love. Everybody pays a lot of attention when they're falling in love. It's just the nature of falling in love. Or when you come home with a new stereo, or you're profoundly interested in anything. When you're sitting at the feet of some profound spiritual master, and you're just so amazed by what they're saying and what they're, in a sense, transmitting, that you're paying attention like you've never paid attention before.
Yes.
And so that brings all of the other qualities of our essence, of our being, into awareness. Because whenever there's a huge experience of something, you can't help but be aware.
Yeah.
So there's that level, that the essence, though, and that level is there even in the ordinary, like you said, day to day. Every experience had the awareness is going somewhere. Acceptance is accepting something.
Mm-hmm.
And then there are also these moments where that flow takes on a greater depth, a greater richness. And then other aspects of that become obvious, more present.
Yeah.
And of course, there's a tremendous sense of freedom that comes if you discover that you don't have to wait for a new lover. You don't have to even have a new lover. You don't even have to have a new stereo. You don't have to be anywhere or be doing anything at all. You can just give this fullness of attention and be in touch with your own essence. Be in touch with what makes it so rich and wonderful to be with a new lover.
Yeah. So, Nirmala, I'm just going to take the experience with which I started this conversation as a kind of case study, okay? Because, in a way, exploring all of this also implies exploring what takes us away from that fullness.
Yes.
And from that spacious awareness. So, as I was starting this conversation, because of all the technical issues that I've been dealing with and trying to solve before we went online at 12 o'clock.
My little microphone thing is still going here. Let me see. Maybe I never clicked apply. No, it's not letting me click apply. It's weird.
Don't worry about it, Nirmala.
Okay.
It just is what it is. Okay.
I like technical stuff. So I love it. I want to fix it. Sometimes we love too much.
Yes.
That's what you're talking about, right? It's what are the things that in a sense hijack our love? What are the things that take our love and make it so narrow and so at times almost painfully
Yes.
focused on, like, I have to fix the microphone, you know, I have to,
Yes.
oh no, my, you know, my retreat is about to start and my computer is going whoop, you know, crazy.
Yes. Like right now, my picture has disappeared. Oh, now it's back again. Um, so, you know, there's this attempt to try and get things under control, right? To fix things, and yeah, it's a form of love. And at the same time, it's like, you know, it really narrows the attention down, right? And it
Yeah,
amps up the volume of the nervous activity. So
yeah,
this is how I started this conversation.
yes,
And so it's very interesting as you did this guided exploration. I could feel, I could feel myself just settling back into something more spacious, something less contracted, less speedy.
right.
And, obviously my body started relaxing with this. And so now I'm more present than I was at the beginning.
Yeah, and that's a good way to say it. There's more presence,
Mm-hmm.
more love, more awareness.
Yes.
But it see, to me, the ideal. I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with experiences where we're more present, right? And like I said, and when it gets really strong, we discover all kinds of beautiful things about presence, and that's marvelous. And yet, there's this funny thing that happens when we turn that into an idea, because any kind of attachment becomes itself another way of narrowing,
Yes.
right? So when we really, really want something, it has that quality of getting very tight and very narrow.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's this beautiful dance where sometimes the flow opens up, and then the only question is, do you just allow that, or do you go, oh, that was nice, I want more of that, you know?
Yes. Yes.
And so to me, the ideal is not to always have an experience of a full, rich flow of love, but the ideal is to know love so deeply, so, you know, to be able to recognize it so subtly, so constantly, that it really just doesn't matter whether it's flowing like Niagara Falls or whether it's like the little drip, drip, drip of worry, you know, a little kind, you know, kind of like niggly flow of something that you just can't stop thinking about.
Mm.
If there's more freeing than a big experience of love is to have developed a profound sense of trust that love is always available, that love is always present, that nothing can harm or damage your awareness. And so when the computer, you know, we have technical difficulties just before you're about to go live with an online retreat, it's like you can get all contracted, all stirred up. Your mind can get as busy as minds get. And yet there's still this recognition. That's just what's caught, what's engaging my love in this moment.
Yeah, I mean, there was at some level there was an acceptance of that. That was
Yeah,
just how it was.
isn't it? Yeah, yeah. And that's the thing. We have lots of levels. So recognizing that there was acceptance even while you were frantically. And you know, even when there's a recognition of acceptance, if you're about to go live, you're still going to frantically do everything you can to make it work.
Yes,
Right?
absolutely.
That's, you know.
Yeah, yeah. But let's talk a bit about these levels, because you know, so what I'm interested in, I mean, we know the level that's a very everyday level in which we do function in dualities. We love and we hate. Something's
Right.
black or it's white, or it's, you know, it's acceptable or it's not acceptable, or it's doable or not doable. And then, you know, there is this meta level. I don't know whether that's a good way of calling it, which is more like just this, or it could be the ground, you know, could be the ground too of a spacious awareness and acceptance.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we just confuse those levels, you know, we think, and it's a thought, right? It's a concept that we should be loving all the time. You know, we should be accepting all the time.
Right. It's like
And
we apply.
that's just not possible because
Right. It's like we apply the rules at one level. We try to apply those rules at another level where they
yes,
don't apply.
yes,
It'd be like somebody who's trained as a pilot, right? Trying to
mm-hmm.
use the same rules for navigating and relating to the other cars when he's driving on the surface.
Yes,
You know,
yes,
it's like, well, I'll just, you know, go over that car. No, that doesn't work in a car. You
yes.
know, I'll just go to a higher altitude and go around that pedestrian.
I love your
Those rules
metaphors.
apply. Those rules apply when you're in an airplane, you know, and they just don't apply when you're again, I'll use that word, when you're loving a computer that's not working, when you're, you know, loving something on the that is happening in the realm of ordinary duality.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So,
And yet, by being like, you know, you said earlier you were accepting even while you were doing, right? And so it's possible to be aware, present in more than one level, to be, you know,
yes.
to have some awareness in more than one level. And that actually is very functional. You know,
Mm-hmm.
to when something's happening, you know, the house is on fire, the computer's not working, and if you just immediately go up to this much bigger level, like, well, it's all fine, you know, if my body burns, that's fine, you know, which is all true, it all is real, but if you just go right to that level, it's not very functional.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you might have a tendency not to run out of the door. You know.
Yes, I mean it's more functional to solve the technical problems when they as and when they arise, because otherwise no retreat is going to happen.
Right. And yet to get totally stuck on, especially on the level that the problem is happening, to
Mm-hmm.
get stuck on that level, it is not always that functional either.
No.
Right? You get so involved with the problem that you don't step back. And I remember last time when we were doing this retreat and we were about to start, and I was going to wear a headset like you have on.
Mm-hmm.
And then I decided, no, that's not working. So I took it off, and then I couldn't hear you. And I was like, what's wrong? What's wrong? I can't hear you. What's the matter? And then finally I looked at the headset, and I reached over and unplugged it, and then the speakers came on. You know, so the greatest functionality is, again, when we have this kind of flexibility to narrowly focus, and then to also, maybe even at the same time, to kind of step back, take a take a bigger view, notice like, again, like, oh yeah, there's there's the headset that, sometimes it's that you only have to go that far back. But other times, in order to really know the truest response in the moment, bringing in the bigger level, I think of it more like bigger, more inclusive. It includes this, and it includes this, and that gives the greatest, I don't know, all kinds of things. Of course, there's more awareness. How could that be anything but functional? There's more acceptance, which usually allows also a flow of inner knowing, intuition, wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't restrict you from when you suddenly realize, oh, that's what the problem is, reaching down and fixing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the flexibility to go in and out.
My sense of it is, or the way that the way that seems to present itself to me is like it's like what you call levels. It's like there's at one level there's just a holding of whatever happens, and it's not an active holding. It's just
That's that inherent space.
being in that.
Yes.
And then there's a more specific thing that's happening, whatever that is. I'm doing something, I'm fixing something, I'm experiencing something, I'm feeling something. And it's like both happen it's like they happen at the same time. I can focus on one or the other, but they're both there.
Yes. And like I said, I sometimes use the metaphor. It's like having one foot at both levels. It's like there's some awareness flowing in both modes, and so then I think part of what happens then too is there's like a flow of information across levels. It's not just all at this level or all at this kind of expanded, spacious level, but there's like this, flow of whatever you want to call it. I mean, ultimately, it also is love. There's some of that more spacious perspective actually touches the practical level of our being, and then I would say it flows both ways. That spacious level of our being is actually profoundly enriched, and it's just added to, it's given more depth by all of the stuff that we struggle with in life, all of the experiences. Someone once defined the soul as the soul is the sum total of all of our experiences. And so everything, the most frustrating experience, the most painful experience, all the ways throughout time that we have, had our heart broken, been crushed by difficulties, or died, or been born, or had great success, great failure, all of those. It's like some old person who's a hoarder.
Yes.
Our soul is like saying, "Oh yeah, I'll take that too. Oh, give me some more of that. I like this too. Give me some of that." It's like our soul just takes it all in. And so that flexibility between levels allows you to possibly, right in the experience of having your heart broken, to also like appreciate that. Appreciate the beauty and intensity of that.
And ironically enough, when our heart gets broken, actually usually what happens is that there's an opening into more spaciousness.
Yes.
Because before the heart got broken, there was usually a kind of narrowed focus, that all of
Right.
a sudden just gets blown wide open.
Right.
And then, it's like we just understand even better what love is, that it is a total yes. It's a
Yes.
total acceptance.
Yeah.
Nothing's excluded.
I've been the most in touch with a kind of personal romantic love sometimes when I was breaking up with somebody, or they were breaking up with me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you don't have anything left to protect,
Yes.
So all of a sudden, here you are breaking up, and yet suddenly you both feel this
Yes.
immense intimacy and connection.
Yes. Yeah.
And a similar thing happens with any kind of really intense experience. People who have
Mm-hmm.
been in war zones or disasters,
Yes.
they often report that it's almost hard to go back to their ordinary life
Yeah.
because they felt so alive. They were so,
Mm-hmm.
when you're running away from a tsunami,
Mm-hmm.
you are very, very awake.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Yeah.
you don't hold back any of your awareness at all. You
No.
get, you have all of your attention
Mm-hmm.
present in the moment because there's no, there's in a sense no choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that, again, it's wonderful. Any experience that gives you experience where that love just flows like massively, or awakeness flows massively. That's a wonderful gift,
Mm-hmm.
and it's possible to make the curiosity about love itself more subtle, so that you don't become addicted to those.
Mm-hmm.
Always having to and people literally become addicted to war.
Yes, to
There are
that
people that,
intensity. Yeah.
yeah, that
Yeah.
there's such an intensity that they go back and re-enlist.
Mm-hmm. So Nirmala, I just want to check. Whether there are any questions from
Great.
people who are watching. So I'm just gonna see that. Oh, it doesn't seem to be anything. So I have a question for you, Nirmala.
Yes.
What's always interesting for people is awakening experiences. Because in a way they're also very intense experiences, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
often they're experiences where something's blown wide open, right? Where
Like you mentioned, the heart, getting your heart broken.
yes,
That's a very ripe moment for a kind of awakening.
yeah. So in the diamond tradition, they talk about facets and facets of that awakeness, of that
Mm-hmm.
beingness. One being awareness, one being love, that bliss, the
Yes.
truth.
Like, yeah, compassion, strength, uh, clarity,
Mm-hmm.
peace. These are all
Yes.
different qualities. Yeah.
So in your own experience, what was the flavor of that experience for you? Was it more just, what were the facets or the flavors that experience took on for you, and how did it evolve afterwards?
Um, it's funny because first of all, there's so many experiences of awakening. Anyone who is alive is having and has had lots and lots of experiences of awakening,
Mm.
and they do all have these different kind of flavors.
Yeah.
And so, I could focus in on one or another, and even within that experience moments where it was more specifically one than another.
Mm-hmm.
And like I had this very big awakening in India that like there's the story of it's on my website. And there came a moment in that awakening where there was this, I would say probably it was the quality of clarity,
Mm-hmm.
the ability to really see clearly. And what was seeing clearly is that I had always been awake. And so for a long time I used to call my awakening my non-awakening because what was seen was that I was already awake. I had always been awake. And I'd always been free. I'd been, in fact, been so free that I was free to think that I wasn't free.
Yes.
I was free to pretend that I wasn't awake. And so like that's one example, a moment where there was a strong sense of the quality of clarity.
Mm-hmm.
And yet immediately it turned into this immense, I would say probably the quality of joy, because when I saw that, it struck me as so hilarious that I had suffered. It seemed like the biggest joke that I played on myself. That I literally rolled around on the ground for half an hour laughing. I just every time I started thinking again about my life, I would start laughing hysterically, and so I was just uncontrollable laughing. So like again, that clarity turned into this incredible release and sense of joy. And so yeah, it's interesting. Here we are. We're talking about love, and love's an interesting one because there are some like again, these are not so much cultural layers that are added onto love, but just more essential levels, more essential kind of qualities of like when you experience personal love, or when you experience divine love, and it has those experiences have a very definite flavor. And yet love is also used as this word that that points to the more to the essence. We sometimes use love interchangeably with awareness. So it's probably good this is the day after Valentine's Day that I went stripping away all that extra stuff. It would almost be sacrilegious to strip away all the extra stuff on a day where we celebrate all the extra stuff. On Valentine's Day it's associated with the colors red and pink and all that the incredible sweetness.
Red.
Yeah. The incredible sweetness of a personal sense of connection, personal, emerging very specifically with another person, or a pet,
and yet, when there is that, I mean, that experience can be at a very expanded level where that sweetness is in everything. That sweetness is
right. All of those qualities might seem narrow. Yeah, they're narrow as you go in, and then they go to the source where it's all present. So if you go deeply into personal love, it brings you to peace and joy and clarity and strength, and all of the qualities of essence are present when you're totally immersed in personal love.
So the way that you talk about it, for you, love doesn't seem to be part of essence. It seems to have other qualities, but not love. Or am I misunderstanding you there?
No, like I said, I'm just saying that the word love is sometimes used both to speak of some very particular qualities.
Sure.
and also used just as a description of the most fundamental qualities, which I mentioned awareness and space. There's also a third one. I tried to keep it simple for that kind of experiential exploration, but another fundamental quality of being really is a sense of connectedness, oneness.
Yes. Mm.
And so when you're really aware of something, yet the boundaries with it can start to dissolve. You can start to actually become one with, again, whether it's your beloved cat or dog, or a lover, or a pencil that you're holding while doing an exercise. You can actually merge with that. So that's another kind of fundamental quality of being. And yet also, it's also interesting, it's also a quality of this more personal, more specific kind of love. Merging, is a big part of why we like falling in love, or why we like holding our dog in our lap.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's such a relief from the contracted awareness of being me.
Yeah. When there's separation, that same connectedness is there, and yet as the separation gets greater, often then it's experienced as a longing to connect. A longing, sometimes specifically with someone, or sometimes just like, oh, I'm so lonely, I wish I had someone, I wish there were, it's like if we're experiencing it from afar, the connection is still there because there's such longing,
Yeah.
Which is why, all of these qualities, when you have a less complete experience of them, then they start to have more and more the flavor of the layers our culture adds to things. Like that. I mean, we talk about someone being love sick, right? Because if you're in touch with love, but it's from so far afar, that experience of love can be excruciating. It can be painful, can be unbearable, because it still has.
Love sickness is something that's probably recognized in every culture.
Yeah.
So it's that the longing is such a strong universal human experience, just as much as the experience of the connectedness and the closeness of love.
Right. And you can long. I mean, when you feel disconnected from your essence and your being, you can have a longing for that.
Yes.
And that longing, most of the time people want to get rid of that longing, whatever way they can. Either get a hold of the person they're longing for, have the awakening that they're longing for, somehow get back to what they're longing for. And yet the longing itself is that quality. The fact that you're longing is itself the love, is itself the presence.
Yes.
And so it's a kind of paradoxical thing to direct the love to, just like before I was saying, you can notice that love flows to your judgments. You can notice that there is love in longing itself.
Yes.
Because that's what it's made up of, actually. So it's kind of like somebody who's got a canteen of water, wishing they could find a water fountain.
Yes.
The wishing is itself made of water, made of love.
And I'm sorry, I just lost you. Okay. In fact, I think that was one of my, that was one of my big awakening moments, to realize that the longing itself was love.
Yes.
That
such a deep kind of relaxation.
Yes.
You don't have to get somewhere first.
Yeah. 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 Um, is there anything that you may want to close with, Nirmala?
You know, I guess the only thing would be that the art in this, the subtlety, to me the thing that kind of keeps it unlocking more and more recognition of the nature of love, the nature of our being, is when you, in a sense, just go ahead and give it to whatever is present.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I spoke some about how if there is a judgment present, you can either go ahead and give it to the judgment, you know, just kind of become really curious about the judgment, like how do I know I don't like that thing?
Mm-hmm.
How do I experience my judgments?
Mm-hmm.
And what are they like in my body? And just, you know, just really pay attention to the flow of judgment. And or you can even, this is like the even lazier way, right? The even easier, simpler, no effort required at all way to do this is to simply notice that you actually already are really curious about your judgments, that you already do give them a lot of attention, that this flow of attention is present even when you're judging. And it's just the nature of actually doing that. It's the nature of doing that when you notice that you love your judgments, it naturally shifts the perspective on it. You don't have to get rid of them. You don't have to change them. You don't have to stop having them. It just changes the place that you're experiencing them from.
Yes.
And so, but the only trick, you could say, the subtlety, the thing that unlocks it is to always just simply give this noticing to everything, anything, every feeling, every fear, every doubt, every emotion, every time you're bored, every time you're confused, every time you're lonely, always use that as an opportunity to notice how much you love being lonely. How much we actually love. We might only love our boredom for a moment, because then we get real busy complaining about our boredom. Either to someone else or to ourselves, or to God, God, life is so boring, God, can't you do something? But we love, it's like in that moment, you can hear it in people's voice when they complain. There's like an enthusiasm. They come alive.
Yes. They come alive with the drama of the...
Yes, when you have something worth complaining about. There's some part of us that like, oh, good, finally I get to complain, And so you can just notice that there's something here that flows to whatever it flows to. It accepts it all. It embraces it all. And like I said, I think it's because your soul does know that even boredom adds to your soul. Your soul does know that even, having your heart broken is adding to your soul. So it even when you're fighting tooth and nail, struggling, resisting, your soul is saying, "Oh, good, we're resisting. Oh, good, that's a one. That's a new one. I haven't resisted that before. Let's add that to my soul." So it just continuously takes in every experience.
Yeah.
And that allows, I said that the ultimate is a kind of flexibility. And for most of us, that means gaining more flexibility to open up and expand. Right?
Yes.
But the way you open up and expand is by noticing how much you love the thing that's contracting.
Yeah.
You don't do it by getting rid of the thing that contracts you, because usually when we're getting rid of something that contracts us, we're just contracting over here to not experience the thing that we're trying to get rid of.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you really like embrace how much you hate that thing, or how much you want it to go away, and you really experience it, and you go, oh, well, that's kind of like longing. Wanting it to go away is kind of like longing. Oh, it's longing like. And it's like you're already out here. You're already like expanded way out of this place. And then at some point you just notice like the longing itself, the wanting it to go away is itself rich. And then you're like way expanded.
Yeah.
So it's always like what's here right now. That's what you can love.
Yeah. So Nirmala, there is a question now.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So let me read out the question. Isn't focusing on awakening and the qualities of awakening yet another form of falling in love? In a way, zooming in instead of opening awareness.
It's a very subtle. It's always like shifting moment to moment to moment. And if there's a grasping onto or a resisting of something, then even if you're grasping onto the flow of awareness, it's not that awareness goes away. It just again will get narrow. If we're focused, it's kind of like even with the longing. It's more like if you're following the longing to the object of the longing, whether that's a material possession or a person, or if it's your essence. But if you follow the longing to the object of it, because the object is really just in that moment an idea. So it's your idea of essence. And so, but any longing, if you again experience, if you recognize the love in the longing itself, then even if you're longing for awakening or desperately trying to figure out the nature of reality, like you're trying to pry it open with your mind, like figure all this stuff out, but if you can, in a sense, notice that the energy in that effort, the passion in that effort, the intensity in that effort to understand, and get curious about that, notice that there's this love of understanding, then it's like all of a sudden the actual like conclusion, the coming to an answer isn't so important anymore, because you're loving trying to figure it out.
Actually, the same person who asked the question also says, I spent half a week retreat figuring out how to get the background noise out of the mic of the teacher. Interesting to watch and to explore that. By not actually doing something, it had a chance to just be the desire or the thought.
Yeah, I mean, the wonderful thing about this love awareness that we are is that it's completely unlimited in every direction. And so there's no limit to how like narrowly it can focus, and we all have that. It's just usually based on our conditioning, the things that we sort of like can't let go of, It's like if there's like I was, at the beginning of this, I kept trying to fix the microphone, it's like there's certain things that are just not easy. So I can really identify with this questioner because I used to run the sound for Neelam, and then when I was traveling giving satsang, I did all my own sound and recording and stuff. So it's like, and I've been at events where I just wanted to like go up and fix the sound system for the for the teacher that I was listening to, because somebody was, there was too much feedback or whatever it was. And so, there are always going to be these things that catch us, not nothing has, it's amazing if you really stop and reflect, nothing has ever caught you permanently.
No.
No, it can't.
No,
Even that person you were the most madly in love with in your life. It's like there are whole days now where you don't think of them at all. Even if it's one that when your mind latches onto, it gets stuck there for a while. There's still these moments where you kind of forget to focus on it. And so, the flexibility is here, and there's just no limit to how long it can do this, how narrow it can get and how hard it can try. And of course, when it gets like that, usually the solution isn't that obvious. There isn't like a clear, simple solution.
Yes, and usually the solution comes when we start expanding out again, right? Like when we take a loo break, or we have lunch.
Or we give up. That's my favorite one. Something else is, I give up, And like you say, you go to the bathroom, you go have lunch, and then you're chewing on your lunch, and you go, I get it. I just needed to do da, and that would have fixed it. Yeah. Or when you can't remember somebody's name, and you try and try and try, and finally you give up, and then 5 minutes later their name pops into your mind.
Yeah.
Because what you just said, your awareness has opened up, and it includes that little memory pocket over in the back corner of your brain. It wasn't here where you were trying to find it.
Yes. So Nirmala, I think we need to come to a close. I added these 20 minutes meditation periods to most sessions, so as to allow people to, settle in, start opening the contracted awareness that's there, into something more spacious. But it means that I have less time between sessions.
Yeah, so you need to get ready for your next one.
Yes, so I'd love to have a little break. And so thank you very much for coming on. Thank you for that guided exploration at the beginning. That was actually very helpful to start us off.
Great.
And thank you for your insights.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing this.
Enthusiasm.
Yeah. And thank you for all you do to bring these up.
Yeah, and thank you for trying to control the sound so that it would be good. And giving up when you did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you to everybody for watching. For those of you who may have come on in the middle, this was the first session of an online live retreat on living from love, and you can find the details on the website www.living-from-love.com, and you can still register, and you'll get the links for the other sessions. And so I'll take my leave, and I'll be back with you in 20 minutes for the meditation leading on to the next session, which is with Susanne Marie. Until then, bye-bye.